Hi, good afternoon, it's Jim from maverickstar Observatory. Before we begin, guys, big thanks to those few people. Just to mention one, Brian, and there's a lot of others, as you know, but yeah, big thanks, Brian, for the support today, and all the others as well on Patreon. Guys, I'm a scientist, but you know what, I've got to say, I'm a little bit shocked, ashamed. You can't help but get emotional sometimes when you see what's going on in our world. I mean, it isn't just the fact that we are going through a rare anomaly. 500,000 years overdue. We're watching the Earth change almost on a monthly basis. And, you know, we're responsible for a lot of things taking a negative impact on this planet. And one of them is the biodiversity, which has reduced by 1/3 over the last 10 years. It's shocking. You know, we are the intelligent species, and it falls on us to be the stewards of this planet. You know, we are capable of so much, and yet what we seem to be doing is thriving in the field of destruction. You know, as a scientist, I shake my head a lot, and I shake my head a lot more these days than I ever have done. You know, people just aren't listening in the places where they should be. Greed is what's driving most of the people that have the influence to make the big changes. And, you know, you can't help but think that this is biblical. Look at this. You know, even like I said, even if COVID-19 is just influenza tagged up as COVID-19, it doesn't matter, because the policies that are in place are the policies right now here in the UK, locking our children up in their very own university accommodation. And we saw pictures over the last few days of students behind fences. This is what the mainstream media chose to show the rest of the UK population: images of our children behind fences like they was in prison. It is unbelievable. No government on this earth has the right to lock an innocent person up for no good, and they should not impose mandatory lockdowns on anybody when nobody has broken a law. Regardless, you can ask that they comply, but when you force that they comply, it's a different matter. We're dealing with tyrannical governments around the world, and I'm sure, as a logical human being, clear thinking, along with, you know, our little think tank of people that I've got here in the UK, we are concerned that COVID-19 is being used as a cloak in order to take further control and freedoms away from people, because something bigger is about to come. I explained that in a video the other day, didn't I? I said that this, I believe, could be, and this is my theory, you know, I think it's logical, you know, the most of the world has debt that they can never repay. Even if they sold every asset of every individual in the country, they could never repay the debt that they've borrowed each other. So, you know, in a lot of cases, China owns a lot of this debt. You know, they've bought American bonds, British bonds, European bonds, and they are the powerhouse of manufacturing at the moment. They're the only ones that are manufacturing. If you listen to anybody in the knowledge of the economy, you know that when you stop becoming a manufacturer and you start to become service based, you're not actually really creating any wealth for your country. And this is why we've had to sell bonds around the world in order, you know, to keep ourselves above water. But I believe what is happening with COVID-19 is being cloaked up for a situation where their governments meet a criteria to the people that hold these bonds and ask for debt forgiveness. And I think that the people that are holding the bonds are aware of this, because they're going to the third world countries and they're spending up these bonds like nobody's business. So even though, you know, they know it's on the cards, they are taking precautions as a result, because they don't want to be the last person holding on to these bonds when they're declared worthlessness because of a global economic and financial crisis. And what they're trying to do, I believe, is reset the global debt as a result of this. But in order to do that, you have to bankrupt lots of businesses within that country, globally. You have to bankrupt people themselves. That, you know, you have to have something on the books to show your debtors that this is why we're asking for debt recovery or debt forgiveness. You know, we've lost so many businesses. We've lost, people have lost their homes, you know, their jobs, their livelihoods. They're bankrupt. The government's bankrupt, and as a result, you know, it is a marriage on the criteria that is, you know, acceptable in these circumstances to ask for debt forgiveness. I think that is exactly what's going on. But this is not by any means, you know, the only gauntlet that we face. As you guys know, we face a lot of other problems. We're dealing with, you know, failing biodiversities at the rate of 1/3 in 10 years of the species on this planet has disappeared. You know, we've overfished the seas. The stocks are at all-time lows in the seas. You know, we're seeing all-time lows across the range, all-time low temperatures in, you know, countries where it should be warmer than what it is. You know, like I say, it's biblical. It's not 7 last plagues that have been poured out on the earth. It is several hundred, and each one, you know, combined with the next one is, you know, amplifying at the moment. And I think people are starting to feel it. I really do. You know, here in the UK, in only a matter of days, 50,000 people are going to lose their house. Can you believe that? The houses. That's 50,000 people. The numbers are much, much higher than that, guys. That's just what the government have chose to announce what will happen as a result of mandatory evictions through people not working because of they listened to the government. So they didn't go to work, or they was, you know, mandatory told to stay at home and go bankrupt. Those people during that lockdown period here in the UK were living at that time from month to month. One paycheck they don't get, they lose it anyhow. So when they was told to lock down for nearly 2.5, 3 months, for sure they was going to clean out the credit cards and whatever other, you know, borrowing facility they had, and, you know, they was going to default on the mortgages. You know, we've heard rumours of 11,000 people going for one job. It's insane. The monetary system's expired. It no longer serves the majority of people, yet the majority of people aren't speaking out about it. You know, we get a handful of people turn up out the majority down to London and start protesting, only to be hit and brutally beat up by the police using truncheons on them. This is a battle we ain't winning at the moment, and it's not just confined to the UK. This is a battle that we're losing in the United States, in Canada, in Australia, and across Europe. We've seen the pilfering going on by these, you know, European countries and rulers, you know, pilfering people's pensions. I've witnessed it myself about 4 or 5 years ago in Spain. The elderly people going through the bins all day long looking for something to eat because they've got no pension. They're living on the rooftops of most of these apartments and buildings in little makeshift homes that they've managed to scrimp and scrape together. This is the reality of where we are today, despite the technological advancements that we've got. This is embarrassingly shameful, guys, and we ain't doing much about it. We're letting these mongrels that run the mainstream media show us photos of our children being locked up. It should annoy you. It should make you physically angry. You know, your freedoms have been taken away on the back of COVID-19, on the back of this influenza badged up as COVID-19, and that isn't all. You know, we have allowed these same criminals that run our countries to deforest, purposely cause wars, and murder and kill. Today, switched on the crappy mainstream media. You know, there's a brick house. You can just imagine, can't you? I think it's in Yemen, in the mountains, has took a direct hit with women in there and children only. And when they looked at the ammunition's shrapnel, there was serial numbers sending this back to the British Armed Forces. This was a British piece of armament. And we've seen the same case for American armament in other countries as well. This was a mistake, a clear mistake. They blew up children and women. This is what we've got going on right now. How can we have billionaires running countries? How can we be so stupid to allow billionaires to run countries? Do you know what that is like? If you're a logical thinker, that is like putting a thief in charge of the vault in the bank. Somebody who's addicted to stealing, you give him the job as the vault manager of the bank. He can go in there at any point in time he wants and fill his pockets up with whatever he wants, so chooses. This is what happens when you put these rich people in power. Are you telling me that in this day and age we can't find a suitable person to run a country that doesn't come from an aristocratic family where there is wealth running through their veins for hundreds of years? Are you telling me we cannot find a suitable one person that comes from, a decent background, a humble background, that is not in it for the money, that is in it to serve the people as they are supposed to do? Until we sort out our business, we can continue to see, the biodiversity of species dwindle on this planet. And you know what? It is just, all what we're seeing now is just the tip of the iceberg with regards to the major anomaly which is soon going to take place in your lifetimes. The pole shift. So there is suffering from here on out all the way to the end until the pole shift, and that might be the final straw. That might be the camel at that point that breaks the back. We could end up back in the dark days, lighting fires, trying to hunt and gather, because none of this technology, as I've said before, has the ability to last 10 years. Your smartphones won't last 10 years in the elements. That you're lucky if they last 10 years in the conditions in which most of us live today. Your computers are not going to be around in 10 years. The people that build the computers and the equipment that builds them and the robotics, there's going to be nobody there to run them. We could easily disappear back into the dark ages because we are at the moment complacent and we are allowing this to take place. At what point do we say enough is enough? Have we got to be on the precipice of extinction ourselves? As a scientist and someone that studied chemistry, physics, biology, earth sciences, and lots of other things, I am just shocked that what goes as the normal today and is accepted by the majority that aren't aware that what they're being told is a load of lies. Let's talk about CO2. It's a con. Simple as that. CO2. What, you want to cut it back to zero? Does the Extinction Rebellion know what will happen if we cut CO2 back to zero? Every bit of biodiversity on this planet is dead. If we cut it back to 200, it will begin to die, trust me. 200 parts per million. Yeah. This is the mentality that we're all having to be challenged with on a daily basis now. It just makes me shake my head. I wonder, who are these scientific advisors for the government? And where did they get the qualifications, and what did actually they study? Greed, corruption, It amazes me, guys. I'm currently in the process of going through some data that's been sent from Perth for us, so I'll get that up on the website later on if you want to pop over there and have a look at that. And you know, we're moving closer to Wednesday, and you know, we do the Earth Health at a glance on the website as well. But you know, if you're going to pop over there, there's lots of stuff on the website. It's not just pole shift related. It covers quite a lot. If you have a look through the menu, you'll see that we cover a lot of stuff, and it's updated daily. So you know, there's work being done on there. But there is also on the main page a donation tag. It would be great, out of the 7,000 people that visit it every week, if a couple more just put some, you know, shekels in the pot, you know, we can keep things going. That's all there is to it. If you want to, there's a link down there in the description, and you know, you can become one of our patrons, or leave a one-off payment on PayPal. It's up to you. But most importantly, guys, you take care of your family. And you know, I've opened a bit of thought provoking topics here in this video for you. You know, it is really shocking what we're doing on this planet, and there's a lot of people taking everything for granted, thinking that everything can last forever, and you can keep raping the planet forever and abusing, you know, the biodiversities on this planet, and it will keep producing. But the simple reality of it is things will eventually come to an end. As always, guys, I'll say what I usually do. Bye for now.